My skin is black.
What you looking
My
at?
skin
Yeah,
is black.
I feel so good to be black right now.
Black.
What you
All
looking
right,
at?
welcome to episode 86 of the Black in Fashion podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And of course, we cannot join or start any podcast without acknowledging our amazing Black-owned sponsors. Shout out to Thrifty Girl Online. They have chic, quality, and affordable fashion. They have new styles dropping every week, and then they'll have your wardrobe for the summer looking amazing. It's actually owned by Patrice Barber. She's based in Chicago and has built her business up in a very, very short time. Make sure you guys check out Shop Brownstone. The Brownstone experience is a wellness, fashion, and beauty experience inside of a Black women's community. They are currently sourcing Black-owned designers to add to their monthly collections. They are open to building creative partnerships with Black-owned products brands. They understand that the old retail model does not work for both parties, and they are ready to create a new and innovative approach to meet their clients. So make sure you guys check out Shop Brownstone. They're actually based in Dallas, Texas. So, you know, we like to travel all over the U.S. here. So today I am joined with Kelvin. Kelvin is a designer. Thank you so much for being here today, Kelvin.
Well, thank you for having me.
So my first segment, I like to start off like a little icebreaker. It's called This or That.
Okay.
And you'll just tell me which one you prefer over the other one.
All right. Cool.
Trenches or motorcycle jackets?
Trenches.
V-necks or crew necks?
Crew.
Nike or Adidas? Yep, that's the one. It's
Damn.
always that one that stumps them.
You know what? Adidas.
Adidas. The three stripes over to the check?
So it's a reason for that though.
Okay.
And if, most likely we'll probably get into it later.
Okay, all right. I got you. I probably already know the answer to this, but I was going to say fedoras or baseball caps.
Baseball caps.
Baseball caps. Okay. All right, and then are you a chain guy or are you like a watch guy? Well, it might be both.
I'm actually a ring guy.
A ring guy. Oh, that's a new
Watches.
one.
I just need a good watch.
Okay, I like with it. I like it. All right, so Kevin, just kind of start off. Tell me a little bit about like where you're from, your background, where you grew up, siblings, all that good jazz. What influenced you?
Right on. I'm from New Jersey, South Jersey to be exact. I got two little brothers, King David and Prince Drew.
Oh, cute.
They big now, so like they grown. I mean, as far as like my background, like the fashion or just like me in
just
general.
you. To get to know you.
Oh, understandable. Yeah. So I'm 29 years old. I used to play football and run track. I got out of it. Well, I've always been doing it. I grew up in a very like country like.
So football's
family.
like a thing, like everybody goes to football games every week, kind
country
of thing.
like we're a football town.
Gotcha.
We're a sports just like area in general. I grew up in like a country family. We farm. We have our own chickens.
Oh.
Like we do a lot of things hands on. I've been doing electric since I was like 7 years old. What else? I used to draw on everything.
Uh-huh.
I used to tag the side of the crib and everything. Like when I was a kid, I've always been into the art thing.
Okay.
what
That's a
else?
good mix because I figure that people who usually do like farm and country, they are like so far behind artistry and like creativity. So it's nice that you like got like that nice little mixture.
Yeah, it's like it's a fine balance though, and it's actually crazy because my grandmother and my grandfather, they live like where the fields and stuff is and like where the chickens are, but I live more in the city. So
Gotcha.
I'm always me and my grandmom is like freaking frack almost, and then that's like where the influence for like the clothes and like the sewing comes from.
Right.
But yeah, she gave me my first sewing machine, and I had no reason. I didn't know why she gave it to me. She was just like, "Look, you gonna need this," and I'm like, "Okay." Like I'm fresh in football season. I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Well, I don't need no sewing machine.
Right. And but for the most part, yeah, I'm like, that's who I am. I'm like, I've been doing the same thing since I was a young boy. Been making music since I was like 16. I don't really dabble into it too much because this takes so much of my time. But when I can write for people or when I can like feature or do some things, I do what I do. But I'm a real simple dude. I don't really do too much.
I love the fact that you're a granny baby.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah,
granny
yeah,
baby.
yeah.
I got my first sewing machine from my granny. I got it when I was like 8. She taught me how to sew.
That's
Actually,
heavy.
it's funny because my team this week at my business, I hadn't been there in like a week. We transitioned to a new space.
Word.
And then we got to the new space, and they had like this whole brunch like prepared for me and stuff. It was so cute. And then they gave me my granny's scissors in a frame. The first pair, and when I tell you, I started bawling. I started, and I couldn't find them. And I've had these scissors since I was like 7, so I could not find them scissors to save life for me. And then it was in a frame, and it was my grandmother's scissors, and it had the ribbon cutting from when I opened up the studio. And I was just like, it was the ugly tears.
It was one of them. It was just snot and everything.
Me and my granny was like freaking frack. I talked to her. I talked to my granny more. I talked to my mom. Like me and my granny are like that because we just got like that. I don't know, it's like that bond with your grandmother, especially if she's the one that like put like a lot of seeds and roots into you. Like that's my granny too.
My grandma put me on,
right? Like, the grannies be putting you on to
For
everything,
real.
and even in life, like my granny. And like for me, I could smoke with my granny, I could drink with my granny. Like my granny is like that. Like she's like a ball of fun.
That's fire.
Yeah, she's the matriarch. So what inspired the name of your company? And what is like your mission and like vision behind your company?
So Not Many Are Like Us really was built from seeing how like you are with your family, like at the barbecue or something, or like even when you with your friends and y'all together, and you know most of the time when you got a clique of people, like you only stick with your clique of people. Not most of the time, but like that's what it is, and it's a situation where you pull knowledge from different places, and then you bring it together with the same goal, whether it's monetarily, physically, or spiritually. And you guys are able to put that goal into perspective, and then when you come together and you actually get to that point where y'all popping that champagne and y'all like, yo, we did it, that's the point where you can look at each other and be like, not many are like us. So that's like really where it stemmed from. But it's built off family. Like I wear the number 4. I've never wore the number 4 in sports or nothing, but I wear the number 4 because I do everything for the family. And that's what I believe in, whether it's the family that's blood or the family that you actually created yourself.
Gotcha. OTF.
Word. Facts.
I like
and
it.
And the acronym itself is pronounced Malu.
Okay.
I created the name, created the word, and the word means unite.
Okay.
And that came from like Tumblr type stuff. When I was a young boy, I would always make like my name like very rare something, or it was something that had to be something. It was something that always catered to like a difference. But I felt like it was too egotistical to put into a brand, and it was more about me, and I didn't want it to be so much about me. I wanted it to be about everybody else more so than anything, because I wanted to cater to them.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, so it's not many are like you. And then it popped up when I was like, all right, not many are like us. And then I used the acronym, and I'm like, dang, like people gonna think that might be African or something, or they gonna pronounce it wrong. And it was like, even if they pronounce it wrong, it's a conversation going on, so I didn't mind it. And then when I came up with Malu, I'm like, that even sound fire. Like it sound like when I say that or somebody else says it, it'll ring bells. So that's where it came from.
I like that. Okay. So I want to ask, why did you choose the fashion industry? Is it because of Granny? Or like what made you go that direction opposed to like the music direction and like more of the farming? Like, because it seems like the fashion was the number one choice.
Yeah, so my uncle Wesley, and this my road dog. I don't even really consider him my uncle. He like my brother. If you ever like watch like Paid in Full, like when Mitch come in and Sonny cleaning his sneakers, and he like, he had dirty sneakers. He like, come on, like you gonna look like a poop putt, like you gotta clean your sneaks. And my uncle used to put me on, and like even when we was younger, when he was doing this thing in the hood or like riding around the city, he would come pick me up and he would take me to all the stores, and he would like grab me the New Balances with the reflector end on it. We'd have like I'm talking about back when we was wearing denim suits all the way down, and they had the gold chain and the turtleneck on.
I seen somebody with one of those on recently.
Right. And he kind of like inspired me a lot, and then he went to jail, unfortunately, and it was at a young age, but that's when we was wearing big clothes anyway. So I went through all his clothes and just was wearing everything, and I was peeping like how the actual texture and like things different things felt. I had my first authentic Lamar Odom jersey and my first pair of like bleached jeans. They was like a Nietzsche or something like that, and I'm like, oh, it's up. Because I started pulling up to school.
Did you rock with FUBU?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm like, one thing I can say is, like, I've always been all about the black owned everything. I come from a political background too. My grandfather actually was the president of the South Jersey chapter of NAACP.
Oh, that's what's
So
up.
like as far as politics and like just understanding just black everything, I've always been into it. So but that's really where that came from. And then I started seeing that I couldn't find clothes for myself that would match like my sneaks. And I'm like, I'm gonna just paint on these t-shirts and I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to like get some stuff done. So that's where it came from.
Gotcha. I think you just answered my second question. Well, no. Your previous collection, where did the inspiration come from that?
Dang.
Was it Uncle? Or was it
Nah,
Unc?
so the previous collection, honestly, which I don't necessarily call it a collection, but I was sitting at the crib, and I had mad inventory in the house, and I was trying to figure out one what I was going to do with it, and two I was spending money on like brands that I liked, and I wanted to just make something for myself, and a lot of the times I'm realizing when I make something for myself, people be like, why can't we get that?
Of course.
Right. So I'm sitting in the house, and my little brother just had his first college game, which I'm excited about. And I'm sewing on my machine. I'm showing people how I package the orders, and they see my hoodie. They like, yo, we need that. We need that. I'm like, all right, well, I'm about to drop it at 7. Like, pull up.
Gotcha.
Yo, let me see how this goes. And then that happened, and then from there, I just ran with it.
Do you like sew everything yourself?
Some things I sew. So this how it goes. I'll go get like a mass amount of t-shirts, or like hats, whatever the case may be. But when it comes to like cut and sew pieces that actually match the tees, I do that myself.
Gotcha.
I'm actually at the point now where I can't do it by myself anymore. So I'm hit. When I got the email, I was like, I Birdman hands real quick. And also too like but we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, for the most part that's what I do.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so I wholesale a lot of things, and then for the special pieces I make myself. And I also like to do like special things for people, like I'll put your initials on it or make it really for you. And I'm trying to get to a point now where I can get certain people's like clients that I know I can put that I can get like a retainer from on a monthly. I'll get your measurements, and I'll put your measurements in there for you specifically. So when you get your clothes, it's like, no, this is my
that's
pair
smart.
of pants.
I like that.
You know, and I definitely like say like anybody that you know you're gonna have a good client, like treat them the way that you want to treat them, because they always gonna come back. And of course, word of mouth is gonna give you that too. And imagine if I'm able to get a team of tailors that will be able to do that, and we each have 5 or 6 clients, and then be able to move them around and do different things. Like,
Thanks. Come on.
so that's like the
Come
dream.
on, multiple streams of revenue.
Yeah,
That's what I guess that's what I do.
that's what you do.
Got the team
Right
to
on.
have a whole bunch of clients.
Word.
Okay, so what has your experiences been so far, like as a black male in fashion? Like, have you found it like challenging at all? Like, has it been on the easier side for you? Do you feel like you lack recognition? Like, has it like basically was it hard to get on, or do you feel like you are honestly in your own lane? Because that's how I be feeling. I'm like, I ain't trying to get to nobody's lane. Like, I'm not trying to get on to a certain thing, but I do hear it a lot. Like, you know, it's hard to just break into this industry. It's just like you can create your own opportunities in my mind. But what are your thoughts on that?
I've never wanted to even be nobody else except for me. And that goes along with my brand too. It's like if I go somewhere and I see somebody's business model, I see the business model, I may be able to see what you do and be inspired by it, but it's always a not many are like us way to do it. Because if I don't do it like me, then that basically goes against what I stand for in the first place. But coming into the industry, I didn't even try to like hop into anything. I was on Instagram, and Instagram see me go from not knowing how to sew to knowing how to sew, to starting a brand, to LLC, and like everybody seen me go from step by step. So it was kind of a thing to where it was like clapping me on, like the last 100 of a 400-meter race, and now I know for a fact that I have my core people, so that's who I feed off of. And then because of that, other people come in and they see the story and they go back down my Instagram. They're like, yo, like you really doing this, and I'm like, I'm honestly just trying to figure it out. Because as I'm moving now, I'm still trying to figure it out. And if you want to keep it 100, in them times where I don't know what's going on, it's usually like a little box that come down my timeline, and it's like gray, got black lettering, and it's like giving me a little bit of information.
A quote.
A quote that be like, yo, if you're a designer, like make sure you're not doing this and that. It's from the Instagram that I follow. It's fire.
I wake up every single morning and think of something to say to designers.
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's a girl that she does the same thing I do. She from Philly, and I definitely want to shout her out. Her clothing line is called ADW. And she was the one that posted something that you said, and I followed from her.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is lit. But when I actually got the email, I'm like, she probably gonna wild out when she see me on this joint, cause
the girl?
Because she follow you too. Her name Adriana.
Okay. Well, yeah, look up Adriana.
Yeah,
find her, 'cause she gonna be.
It's ADW_, and she just put out a fire collection too.
Yeah.
All the whole collection sold by her. She got like somebody to knit everything. Like she the real deal.
Yeah, I was like, get her on here. I don't want her to feel slanted. I don't want her to feel slanted. Yeah. Get on board.
Yeah, right on.
That's what's up. I'm glad that, cause like I really do think of that shit in the morning. Like in the morning, I get up. That's usually the first thing I do when I roll over. Is just like, all right, what I'm gonna say this morning? Like what can I think of? And I sit there for like 5 minutes. I figure it out. I'm like, somebody needs this information, and I just say it. So I used to like try to pre-plan them, but I can't. Like it literally got to roll off my head in the morning, and then I can like write those things and like put them out there.
Because those hit different. Even though they coming down the timeline, we feel it.
That's what's up.
Especially like people like me too, cause you know that mental part of this situation to really get you, and it's always like either one little situation or like maybe a song you listening to or whatever, but it's random and it'll come through and you like, dang, that's exactly what I needed. Now I'm up and now I got the juice flowing after that, like that hour when I get warmed up and I'm in the game now. So
you need that. That's that motivation in the morning. And even after I do that, then I meditate. Then I work with my crystals. Then I burn my sage because you got to keep it mental. It be seeming like everything is going great, but I have those same things. Like I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm gonna be honest. I'm still trying to figure it out because even with this and this business and stuff like that, it's still growing. It's still the beginning. Like I'm just in the beginning stages of it. So I'm still figuring it out every day. So like having your mental together is elite. Like you gotta keep it up top here because if not, you will drive yourself crazy for sure.
People don't understand that. They don't be realizing like, look, like if I ain't right, I can't create.
I can't do nothing.
I'm sitting. It be times where I be like, I ain't doing nothing. Like,
right. I had those, and I had to stop, and I had read this book or whatever. It was just like, stop judging your self-worth based on your productivity. It's okay not to do shit. Yeah. Like, it's okay. Like, you, like, as much as hard as you work, like, and I had to really stop doing that, because when I don't do nothing, I used to be super duper hard on myself. Yeah. But when you take a step back and say productivity don't judge my self-worth, and I'm like, it don't. If I ain't doing shit today, tomorrow, or the next day, it's okay, because I have to be mentally there to make things happen, to do things, to help others. So.
To give my best, because I don't want to shortchange y'all.
Facts. Yep. Yep. So do you feel like there are any stigmas that are placed on, like, urban brands in the fashion industry? Because I feel like that's a lot. Like, people, not to say that you are, just like urban brands in general, because for me, when I just see people just throw stuff on t-shirts, I'm like, you're a graphic designer. You ain't necessarily a designer. It just depends on it. So it's
that's funny. It's funny you saying that, because I'm ready to talk about it. But
all right, let's talk. And people don't know how to sew. Like, some basics techniques of a designer, I feel like you need to have. Even if you're not still doing it. Like, I don't sew as much as I used to. I still know how to, though. Like, I don't,
but you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to sew as much as you
but
it's
like,
before.
people will let us be fashion designers, and legit, it'd be like, what's that? Times New Roman italic on a t-shirt. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
A Gildan t-shirt. Yeah. Hey, what's up?
I'm happy you saying that, because like it's times where for me, I'm like, for you to call me a fashion designer and for me to call you a fashion designer, it makes me kind of like upset sometimes, because I really didn't know nothing. Mm-hmm. I took that time. I sat with them tailors. Right. I took that time. I figured out how to take apart and put my joint back together when my sewing machine mess up. Mm-hmm. Like, it was times where, like, sketching was, like, after the sewing machine. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you call yourself a fashion designer, which I'm not knocking anybody that does it, but I see you as a graphic designer with a relationship to somebody that can make you a tangible product. So in that sense, that's who I feel the same exact way.
They're a designer. Like, I'm not knocking that you're a designer. You're just not a fashion designer. That's the only thing. Like, I
You're
said, like,
in
maybe
design.
you could be a visionary. I tell some people, I'm like, you're a visual designer. Like, you got it all up here, but you ain't really a designer. You're a visionary. So I get it. You got great ideas, but you don't have execution. To me, if you're a fashion designer, you know how to do execution, whether you're doing it or not.
Yes.
Whether I give it to you, if I give it to somebody else to do, I got to be able to explain what I want done, not them telling me what needs to be done.
Right.
You feel me? Like, that's to me the difference. You got to be able to.
Completely different.
Yeah, if I can tell you, and then I don't need you to tell me what to do. Like, I guess that's my correlation to the difference.
If somebody was to take a seam ripper and take apart a garment, they would not know what was inside of that garment.
Facts.
They would not know what those folds are. They would not know to cut a corner when you doing a square stitch. So that way you can actually poke out the
seam.
Like, the seam, like, so there'd be a fresh corner. Like, people don't be knowing that stuff. It's like,
I done seen people lay down a pair of jeans and then like trace it and cut it out, and I'm just like, but where's the crotch? Like,
it's certain things.
Like, I've seen certain stuff, and I'm just like, how did you think that was gonna? Then they be mad when it don't turn out right. I'm like, but how did you think that was gonna work? Like, and I've seen it happen in t-shirts and hoodies. Like, they put down a t-shirt or whatever, and then they just go around it, and then they sew a seam here. And then they just make this whole one big old seam, which is fine if you're doing a raglan, but it like, I'm just like, just go sit with a tailor. Like, go sit with a tailor, go learn something, and I just feel like learn your craft. That's like
that's how I feel. It's like, just take the time out before you start to label yourself and anything, because it's like, that's like going to somebody that been in the game for 30 years and you expecting to get paid the same amount as them. It's like, yo, like... And
you won't have the same respect either. Like, for me, I did a podcast with Jay Alexander, the guy who owns Fubu or whatever. I did a podcast with him a couple weeks ago. And he has a mentorship program for, like, young designers and stuff like that. And he helps them. And then our conversation was super duper interesting because he's just like, people don't want to work for it no more. Like, you into, like, I want it now type of thing. Like, everybody's like... instant fashion designer. Like, they don't want to go through like the process and the steps and know there is a lot behind it. And then it's not just the design. Like, yo, you gotta market it. You gotta, and there's a difference between there's a difference between PR, marketing, and advertising. Like, they're completely different. And like, knowing the difference between the two and actually executing all of the things. So his conversation is just like, he literally was basically telling me that he ain't got a respect for nobody who don't want to learn. And he said he get a lot of people that's like, how did you get Fubu started? I want to do this, I want to go do that. And then when he actually started to tell them the things they need to do, they don't want to do them.
They went and got the machines and sold them joints
in
themselves
in
the basement.
And that's what he was saying.
And it's like, people don't realize that. It's like, yo,
you gotta do the work.
You have to do the work, and and it takes time to do it. Like, you gotta. A lot of this stuff, especially in the fashion industry, I try to tell people, like, this is not no microwave, bro. You gotta put it in a crock pot. It's a slow roast. It's gonna take all day to get that meat to fall off the bone. And once you get there, that satisfaction is what you're waiting for. You can't be doing this stuff thinking that it's just gonna pop off the way you want it to, because you're not in here for the long run. Then
my oxtail was falling off the bone last night, so I know they slow roasted those.
Yeah, like,
you gotta take your time with everything.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
So tell me, how did you go about like building like your social media following?
I don't know. Like, it's kind of.
Do you utilize like the promotional thing, like the tools or anything, or do you just like you got a consistent schedule on how you post? Or
so at first, a lot of the stuff was built around like the stuff I was doing in college. Okay. I went to a HBCU, so I went to Shaw University in Raleigh. It's a private school.
Okay.
But that started because I was in like SGA. I played football, I ran track, so I was around a lot of people. But when I got home, it stemmed from me like starting to do like modeling and different things like that. I was in like crowds that were able to. I was with like people that were the influencers and were the guys that knew how to do the Instagram stuff. And what I would do was I would be around them, and I would learn what they were doing, and then slowly but surely I would just know what Instagram like or my follower like, and I would gain followers that way. I'm not necessarily good at Instagram, honestly. Gotcha. The following that I do have, like, it's more than most people, but I honestly I'll be posting and be like, yo, I hope they like it.
That's all you can do though, and
Yeah.
somebody's gonna end up liking it. So I have another segment in my show called "It's a Success." Well, it's a disaster.
Okay.
And it's a success, it's a disaster is actually brought to you by street politicians. They're more than just an apparel brand. They're a brand that is here to represent a positive image in our community and that everyone doesn't see. Shop with them. Check out Street Politicians. They're actually based in Cali. And also check out Kirahkinks. It's a hair rejuvenation oil that helps promote healthy hair growth, decreases split ends and breakage. The aroma is divine and your scalp will shine. Now, it's a success. It's a disaster.
That was
I want you to
segue.
It is.
Yeah,
Okay.
yo, that was a great segue. I went
try.
to school for mass communication, so like the way you did that,
I try.
I gotta give you a props for that. That was a good job.
I'll be making shit up as I go, to be honest. But I just be like going with it. I ain't got no rules. I just be going with it.
Yeah.
So basically, I want you to tell me about a time in your business where something went to hell. Like it was a complete disaster, but what you learned from it and how you may have established a new practice in your business because of what you learned from that lesson.
So I went and I tried to do manufacturing for the first time through somebody else. Not saying that it wasn't it was a disaster for me because I can just tell that the product wasn't going to be what I wanted necessarily. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, I knew I needed to learn more. And once I seen that, I'm like, okay, like I put this money out without even thinking about it. I just wanted to get a good product, and I started seeing like the difference. Then when I got product back, it was like water damage on like some of it. They didn't. None of them fit the way that it needed to fit.
Was it USA based?
No, they were in Pakistan. Oh, well, actually, they were in Pakistan. Yeah, they were in Pakistan.
Okay.
But it was a thing where it was just like, oh yeah, well you can just like tell me what you want. I'll text them. I'll tell them everything. I'll do this. I'll do that.
He was an agent.
In a sense.
Okay. Like,
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So, and granted, it wasn't like, this is one of my friends too. Like, she cool peoples, but it for me and how I seen, the process go down. I'm like, I wish I had more of a say so here. I wish I had more of a say so there. I kind of feel like it was an impulse thing, and it wasn't something. And I never really jump on impulse when it comes to stuff like this. Mm-hmm. And when that happened, I'm like, okay, like. It wasn't a disaster because I learned from it, and now I know exactly what to see in certain spots or like circumstances, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you need to always be in control and know what's going on. Cut the middleman.
Yeah.
Cut the middleman. I agree. So tell me about like maybe some marketing or like branding strategies you're thinking about like implementing for your launch, because it's funny because I always tell people ixnay on the fashion shows because I don't think they make money. Like, you spend your time like trying to create everything for like the runway and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then you literally get stressed out and you don't make no money. So like, what do you do, I guess, to put the product out there? Like you feel like pop-up shops is great, like trunk shows, like direct to consumer, social media campaigns, which you said you're that big on social, but how do you brand the products and stuff like that without doing like that regular retail model?
I understand. So for me, I'm actually in a space where I utilize, I wish I can, because I feel like I'm still young and I ain't even really get to certain points yet.
It's a stepping stone.
Right.
There.
So what I do is I create the story, and I make the story lead up to the actual drop. So like I show people the process.
Gotcha.
And make them fiend for it. Like, yo, what is he doing?
Gotcha.
And then I base the situation from that, and I kind of see how they biting, and then I'll give them a little bit more. Then I'll give them a little bit more, and then what I do is I start putting it out there to where they start seeing it, and then once they start seeing it, they're like, "But how do they have it?"
Right.
And it's kind of like I tease them, and then once I give it to them, I'm like, "Look, it's happening right now. If you don't get it, that's your fault.
Gone.
So get ready for the next one." To the point to where it's like you almost guaranteed to like not get it, especially if you don't, pay attention for like the first hour or so.
Gotcha.
But now I think for my next one, what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to do a lot of advertising, like you were saying.
Gotcha. You know what's crazy? I actually think that the way you're doing it now works. you know, you can, I mean, of course you can always pop up and like use like the, you know, the social media like tools or whatever to like promote it. But the teasing, it creates, first of all, it creates exclusivity, but then it also is like a data for you to understand how many pieces you probably should make of everything and how much to invest into it. And honestly, that's what I teach in my classes to test the market, like to kind of put it out there, put out those teasers so you can figure out what you want to do. And that's how I do my own products too. So, and I only create when I feel like I'm doing a travel collection, but what I've been doing is I've been throwing up a picture of the process, same exact way, because it's just like people like, what's going on? When is it dropping? Oh, I can't wait. So now I'm like, okay, this picture got this many likes, this one got this many. I'm probably gonna make more of the duffel than I make of the tote, or I'm gonna make more of this than I make of that. This color seems like people are in tune with this one. I'm probably gonna do that, but I use that those inches of like throwing it out there to kind of figure out what I need to produce. So that's a good method. The only thing I would suggest that you do more is like put a promo on it.
That's
put
what
the
I'm
promos on it, but
now.
like keep doing it exactly the way you're doing it, but throw a promo on it every now and then so that it reaches more than just like your immediate followers, and then make the promo intentional. Like put a certain area on it, put an age range on it, put all that on it. Swear you're golden.
I feel like you said that, since you said that, it's putting me in the right perspective, because I had surgery last month, and I couldn't do nothing for 2 weeks, was like killed me. But it showed me that it was like, nah, bro, like you can actually sit down and it's okay. So what I did was I was watching Facebook ad, YouTube videos, and watching podcasts on it. So I have a plan right now.
Gotcha.
And what it is I told myself, like, all right, we going to drop. So for whoever watching the live, y'all about to get the scoop. We going to drop like simple seams. I call this simple seams.
Okay.
This is like the simple stuff. I just put the logo on it, and I'll make sure that there are certain colors so that way you can put it together with certain outfits.
Gotcha.
So I'm putting out simple seams. I'm doing T-shirts and stuff like that. But for this whole summer, I'm getting the collection together, and then I got my boy. We already about to rent out the studio. We gonna actually do, and I already looked up some like reference videos that I want to make a true story, like, cause I want to try to take the product, put it behind the camera, put the story on it, and then see how I can actually get people to buy into the story.
Like a documentary?
Not a documentary, but like more like a movie.
Oh.
But they're like short films, kind of
like fashion on film.
Exactly, but it's like, it's kind of like the PG Lang just did with Calvin Klein. What they did was they had like Ryan Destiny and then like her boyfriend in there, and it's literally like day to day, like, yo, what you put your jeans in the freezer for? Keith Powers. Yeah. That's what I said his name wrong.
No, you said her boyfriend.
Oh yeah, well, so actually I don't know. I know her though.
I know him though. So,
but
he's like, I know him, so we got it.
So with that, like the way that they did that, it was like, yo, like what you put my jeans in the freezer for? Stuff like that, just to come up with like concepts, because Malu is a conceptual street prep goods brand. So I want to come up with the concept. I want it to come through cinematically, but the stuff that they're wearing is like, I think actually Kirby just did it with the last pair of Moss joint with and the way he doing it is like, okay, that's what y'all doing. I'm like y'all. Like, I know I can be just as good as y'all. So it's like, if I know I get the right cameras, I know I get the right setting, I can put the cinematic thing together up in my head. And then from there, we gonna promo that joint.
I like that.
And then coming the winter, I'm gonna bust them over the head and I'm gonna show them the difference. I make clothes. I design clothes. And I have a brand, and y'all take advantage of the internet.
Right.
Like I wanted to really be like the dude from Casablanca. He came out 2 years ago, took over, and now they trying to say that he the Gen Z Hermes. Yeah, that's inaccurate. but that's the way they popped off. So, but it's like for the media to give him that recognition, for me is like, okay, like they see how he's moving and they can tell. Yeah, it's like, oh, he got something up his sleeve. And the thing about it is like, all this stuff that I'm doing has been given to me from God, so it's endless. Right, facts. So I'm just ready to really put it into work this summer. That's what's up. Cooking. Come on, talking about cooking. All right, so our last segment is called It's the Muse. Leads right into the question: do you have any advice you want to give to anyone that's like, I ain't gotta be starting out, just anyone as a whole? And when I mean advice, I want like a
a book or like an affirmation or like a mantra or something in that you feel like anybody that's pursuing entrepreneurship as a whole needs to take a look at, or mentorship, or anybody, like maybe somebody that inspires you?
Okay. One thing I always, well, my grandmother as well. She put my foundation in God. I firmly believe that you need to believe in somebody other than yourself in order to realize that this fight ain't yours. And and as long as you know that you good, that joy comes in the morning, you can always get through the next day. And to be honest with you, 24 hours is just 24 hours. So as long as you can get to the next one, you're gonna be all right. But as far as amuse, me personally, I like to listen to interviews on other people's creative abilities, whether it's Daniel Arsham and like a sculptor attitude, or whether it's like Virgil, or it could be anybody, to listen to how their brains work.
Gotcha.
So that way, when you're going into a situation, especially if you're trying to create a certain collection or you want to tap into a certain creative part of your brain, they may be able to say something to you that will trigger you to say, oh, okay, I can look at it this way, and then actually see, what I want to create from a different corner of the room than what I'm looking at. Also, too, I go to a lot of museums.
That's how you get your inspiration. I just went to Cause on Friday.
I
just went
on
Friday.
On the 22nd.
And I went like 2 weeks before that just to go to like the regular museum. So I done been to Brooklyn Museum twice in like 2 weeks. I'd be like, that's how I get my inspiration too.
Yeah, so I try not to actually get my inspiration from other fashion brands. I try to look at other artists and other mediums, so that way I'm not, because sometimes when you are talking to somebody and then like 2 months later they'll like be like, oh, I came up with this idea, and it's like, bro, I planted that seed low key. I'm not gonna say that to you. I'm gonna let you be great, but I planted that seed. And I try to like do that, and I get up every day at a certain time. I take time for myself, so I would say get up, take your shower, do your praying, doing whatever it is that you need to do as far as getting your mind right, because at the end of the day, there is no brand if it ain't no you.
Facts.
And you have to do exactly what you were saying. Get your sage together. Get your,
I swing. I gotta swing in my backyard.
Oh, that's
I
live.
swing.
Yeah.
I gotta rock. And I rock, and I have my little sage, and I just be back there swinging, like getting it together.
It got to a point where I just was like, all right. I started getting up, and I wouldn't actually talk until 12 o'clock.
That's discipline.
I wouldn't speak or say anything into the world until like 12, until I knew for a fact that it was like, okay, like I'm here. And there's other times where I would get up and I would turn on a certain music. Because a lot of people don't realize that they work better with certain music. Everybody can't listen to the turn up. I'm more with like, especially music too. I try to use music as a way of inspiring me as well, because it puts you in a different type of mood. I'm hoping I'm answering your question and I'm not rambling. But that's honestly what I do. I really try to vibe out. I put on Kool and the Gang, Summer Madness, the hour version on YouTube, and I just vibe.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, I enjoyed that. Thank you for enjoying me today, coming in
I
today.
appreciate that.
It was great. Love all your feedback. Love all your conversations. So it's always good to have someone in here like that has like, to me like a like mind. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I like to have like a like mind. So on that note, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And as I always say, stay black. Peace out.
Peace.